You don't think I'm good enough, romantic enough. I want you to know that I was in love with you. I loved you. I'm still in love with you. I always will be. Remember that. You don't think I'm good enough, romantic enough. I want you to know that I was in love with you. I loved you. I'm still in love with you. I always will be. Remember that. You don't think I'm good enough, romantic enough. I want you to know that I was in love with you. I loved you. I'm still in love with you. I always will be. Remember that.
Surely there's no significance in the fact that a lady has changed her mind.
I don't understand it, Ellen. I always knew you'd never marry me while your father was alive. But after he died, I thought there might be a chance.
I'm in love. We intend to get married at once. Tomorrow. Don't look so downcast.
You don't think I'm good enough, romantic enough. I want you to know that I was in love with you. I loved you. I'm still in love with you. I always will be. Remember that.
Is that a threat?
Greetings, welcome.
I loved you.
Thank you very much for being here tonight.
I'm
Thank
still
you so
in love.
much. That's very kind of you.
I always will be.
It's
Remember that.
nice to be back. Nice to be back streaming. It's nice to be using the old graphics again. Yeah, it's good. It's a nice feeling. Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for coming along. Thank you so much if you're watching after the fact. Tonight's going to be a much more chill one. Squeenie Todd, hello, good to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. It's good to see you again. It's going to be a shorter stream tonight, as you can kind of hear my voice is a little bit tired and strained, and it's just been a busy week. So I don't know how involved this stream's going to be, but 03 Crows 03 is here. Thank you so much. Good to see you. Tonight we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I know we've been doing a lot of Camlin stuff recently, and that's been wonderful, and that's been a lot of fun. but when we were putting together Camlin, and when we were putting together the sort of the idea of doing streams with it, we were like, well, we can do a listen along stream on the day an episode comes out, and then we can do a music stream, and then we can do behind the scenes with the sound design. And then Ella was like, so what are you going to do on the off Wednesday? And I sort of went, oh, that's a good question. I hadn't really thought of that. I hadn't really thought of that. So I'm kind of using it as an excuse to kind of work on my own thing. Like what we're going to be doing tonight, it's a side project that I've been working on since like August, I think. For if you happen to be around when I was doing rehearsals for the Tower live show, it's kind of come out of that. It's basically it's playing around with this live setup here. And the sort of having music and sound design come through here, and then have everything going through the microphone, the mixer here as well. So I've kind of compiled them all in a little booklet. This is my Radio Scrapbook live scripts booklet, and I'm at the stage where I've got 7 going on 8 pieces that I can do, and that's a series, right? That's a podcast series. In terms of what it's going to look like, it's something I'm going to be working on quietly in the background throughout this year, just because it's just like, I love making really big things, but it's nice to have something that I can just make on my own. That's just me, that I don't need to do too much scheduling. I don't need to do any budget applications. That's kind of the big one. I don't have to do any funding applications for it. I can just get out and make it, and it's an excuse for me to try out new things, it's me kind of, because like I don't know if I've talked about this on stream before, but when I came to podcasting, I came from like narrative nonfiction, so like Radiolab, This American Life, and kind of used the lessons from that to make fiction, to make audio dramas. And it's kind of fun because I'm starting to move back into that. Like I mentioned this on the last stream, but next month I'm going to be on a Radio 4 program called Shortcuts. That's kind of the BBC Radio's sort of little corner for narrative nonfiction, for sort of experimental narrative nonfiction. And I got commissioned to make a piece for it, which is like, that's a big deal. That's like, that is a high point for me. That, you know, that was when I started making audio, one of the things I said is like, someday I want to have a piece on Shortcuts, and that's happening next month, which is really exciting. I'm excited to show the piece. I'll be talking about the piece and taking it apart on stream when we get there. But it's part of this idea, part of this kind of this idea of telling these stories, these little radio stories that are kind of designed for a live audience. Thank you, Squeenie Todd. Thank you. It's been interesting trying to talk to people about it, being like, I'm gonna be on Radio 4. I'm gonna be on Shortcuts. That's a really, and people being like, is that a big deal? Is that something I should know about? And I'm like, it's about as big a deal as I'm gonna get in radio. So thank you, Squeenie Todd. Thank you for humoring me. You've worked so hard. The recognition must feel awesome. It's nice. Like, it's less about the recognition. I mean, the recognition is obviously nice, but I think it's more the sense of progression, the sense that things are moving forward. Like last year, there was a definite sense that I wasn't really moving forward with my work. I wasn't moving forward with stuff. And that's probably because I wasn't releasing anything. That's probably a big factor behind that. But there was this feeling that like, I don't really know which direction to go, what to push towards. I don't know what I'm working towards, and I kind of feel like I've kind of got that back. Like Camlin's been doing incredibly well, which is so nice to see, and I've been learning so much with Camlin about how to make audio drama, and I do think it's changed how I'm going to make stuff in the future, which is really cool. And then there's all this stuff as well, which is lovely. And then having Shortcuts as well is obviously really good. So it feels like things are moving forward, which is kind of, that's kind of what's important to me. You know, I never want to get to the stage where I'm like, okay, I've done everything, you know, or get to the stage where it's like, well, I can't really go anywhere else from here, you know, like I've kind of gone about as far as I can go. So that's really nice. But yeah, so what we're going to be doing tonight. So I'm going to be doing a couple of pieces on here. just to kind of give you an idea of what it is that the show is about. And then there's a part that I have a script for a new piece that I wrote over the holidays that I've genuinely, because I've been so busy with Camlin and my freelance stuff, I've just not had the chance to sit down and actually record it. And the sort of other big challenge for me with this one, and what I want to do with this particular piece, is that you may notice there's another microphone here, and if I start talking on this microphone, you can now hear it through this one and not on this one. Because I've not made anything just using the box. Like, I've been making everything on the computer and then sticking it onto the sampler. So with this one, with this new piece, I was like, let's try and make something really minimal and then try and make it actually physically on the sampler using like the inbuilt effects and the sort of recording capability of the box. And then also it gives me an excuse to use this microphone, which is the first microphone I ever bought. I think I bought it when I bought it in 2008. A terrifyingly long time ago, but it's a basically I needed a mic, and this is the one I bought, and it's still working after all these years, which is a big surprise to me. But back to the nice sort of expensive new microphone over here. Ooh. Okay, well let's start out by let's start with kind of the opening piece, I guess. Like I made a little piece to kind of explain the episode, and that's kind of what this piece is. So I have actually rewritten it, and I will be reworking it. I'm just not going to do that tonight because there's already so much going on. I'm too busy. Okay. This story begins with the richest man in the world making a terrible, terrible decision.
The world's richest man is now promising a Twitter makeover, renaming his own account Chief Twit and proclaiming the bird is freed. Elon Musk carried a kitchen sink into Twitter HQ this week, tweeting, "Let that sink in." Then fired senior execs once closing the $44 billion deal.
I've been making audio dramas and podcasts since 2016. And when I fell ass backwards into making my first podcast series, a science fiction show called Tin Can, my early audience and network all came from one place. Twitter. It sounds weird, but I felt like it was the only social media site I was good at. It's where I always had the most engagement, and other than that one time I went viral on TikTok,
Buddy, you're a boy, you're a big, big boy, you're a big, 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 big boy. Got mad.
It never really translated into listeners and downloads, though thank you if that's how you ended up here. So, when the richest and arguably most divorced man in the world bought Twitter in a move that has ruined the website, his net worth, the finance of several companies, including a handful of banks.
I think it was a morally bad decision. And foolish in the extreme.
I had something of a moral panic. A minor panic, sorry. What did this mean for me as a creator? How was I going to find new listeners? How was I going to get new projects and new ideas out there without a central place to tell people about them? How was I going to do anything? And that's when I had the idea.
I remembered what Charles Dickens did 150 years before, when copyright laws meant that his copyrights were worth nothing in the US. He was widely read, but he was not making any money from it. So he took the piracy as advertising and toured the US in theaters, reading from his books. He made money, and he saw America.
That's Neil Gaiman, who you might have heard of. In a wonderful essay for Cory Doctorow's equally wonderful book, Information Doesn't Want to Be Free. I first read it when I was a young musician trying to navigate the post-Napster world, something I never worked out in the end. It's a book that has always encouraged me to approach these kind of problems in a different way. Musicians and poets have known for a very long time that the best way to get people to listen to your work is to go out and perform it in front of them. And I thought, why couldn't I do that with a podcast? This show, this idea, Radio Scrapbook is a collection of little radio pieces designed for a live audience. Some of these stories are true, some of them are fiction, some of them are stories about other stories. And some of them are just me talking about stuff that I like, with some guest voices from some of my friends.
Okay, recording for Amber. Some lines for Tin Can Audio in the UK, United Kingdom.
Hey Amber, I will try to do this for you. Here we go.
This is for Dev. I'll give you 3 because I'm feeling generous.
Hello? Can you hear me? Hey Amber.
Not so united these days, though, Amber.
I don't know whether this idea is going to work. I don't know what this idea working looks like. Either way, I'm excited to see where it takes me. And I'd be delighted if you could join me. Sorry. I messed up the fade out at the end, but other than that, so it's still very much a work in progress, and we're still figuring out the best way to do things. Also, hello, Tizian. So I'm trying to read this because it's Tiziana Velasquez. Thank you very much for following. I hope you enjoy your time here. Thank you so much for following. So, yeah, so that's the sort of idea behind this, right? Is that they're going to be short little radio stories, still figuring out how to do them. But the idea is that I do things like this and I get to practice, which is marvelous. It's a lot to hold in the brain, having to kind of manage volumes and all the samples and all the sounds and things, and then also have this as well. But it's a learning process, and it's one that I've really enjoyed. Like it's nice to do things with tools again. I know that sounds really weird, but like I'm so used to doing stuff on the computer and doing stuff with software. Like maybe occasionally getting to do stuff like this, but it's not really performance based, right? Whereas with something like this, it's nice to get out and perform in front of people again. Like I've done the one about the tower. I performed that live twice. I performed that in August, and then I performed it again in, I think, November. And that was really good. But like that's me talking about another show, right? It's taking a lot of something that already exists and kind of repackaging it. And that's fun. But it's nice to kind of try and make something that's a little bit more unique to this particular style of thing. And that's a work in progress. That's the thing I need to figure out. Okay, so what else do I have? I've got a slightly wonder. Feel similarly for digital art when I get too lost in tiny tweaks too early in the process instead of enjoying the act. It does feel a little bit that way right now. Like it's still at the stage where I'm learning rather than enjoying, right? It's fun. I am enjoying the process. And yeah, like I said, it's a small project, and I've not had a small project in such a long time. It's so nice. Okay, so this is a much bigger one. Yeah, let's try this one. I've not practiced this one too much, but let's give it a go, and then we can talk about this new piece. Okay. Okay. This is the story of the time I fell out of a plane. Deliberately. I'll start that again. This is the time I fell out of a plane. Deliberately. It's the 2010 University of Stirling Freshers' Fair. I am a skinny, awkward, fresh out of school 18-year-old standing in a giant gym hall filled with stalls for the Sports Society sign-up. Freshers' Fair. The non-sports fair was the day before, and I signed up for all the ones you'd expect. The Drama Society, radio station, Filmmaking Society, student newspaper. All the things that were about as far away from sports as possible. The sports fair held far less interest for me. None at all, actually. I was only really there because the people in my halls, the only people I'd met at that point, really wanted to have a look because they liked sports, which I'm told is perfectly normal. I was also hungover that day and could have done with the fresh air, so I allowed myself to be dragged across campus to the Freshers' Fair, clutching a coffee in one hand and a slightly questionable slice of leftover pizza in the other. I wandered past the stalls for cheerleading, football, American football, rugby, trampolining, hockey, tennis, lacrosse, golf. None of them at all holding my interests, until I spotted the Skydiving Society. Skydiving. Jumping out of planes, flying through the air like they do in films, only safer and not in tuxedos, presumably. Without thinking too hard about it, I signed myself up. And all of a sudden the day felt a tiny little bit brighter. It is 5 a.m. in November. I drag myself out of my tiny student bed and leave my tiny student room because today is the day I learn to skydive. I scribble a quick "gone skydiving" on a post-it note and stick it to my door as I head downstairs to the car, where 3 other skinny, awkward 18-year-olds and a more built yet also awkward third-year student behind the wheel are waiting to take me to a grassy airfield in the Scottish countryside. It turned out my flatmates had thought I was joking when I signed up. I remember feeling annoyed about this, but I was also kind of proud of myself. I'd spent most of that week keeping myself to myself and desperately trying to find an opportunity to be me, whatever that meant. And here I was, flying, or I guess falling, solo. The first half of the day was training, being taught everything we needed to know about how to jump out of a plane, because it turns out it's slightly more complicated than simply yeeting oneself into the sky. We were taught the arch we had to make with our bodies as we fell, the sequence we had to count.
Arch 1,000, 2,000,
Arch 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and then our chute would open and we would float gently down to the ground. At least that was the plan. We were given a comprehensive rundown of absolutely everything that could go wrong on our way down. The nearest lake was 5 miles away, however we were still told,
"This is what you do if you land in water."
As well as scenarios such as,
"What you do if you land in a tree. What you do if you land on top of a building."
And my personal favourite,
"If you find yourself flying towards a plane propeller, detached from your chute."
And that was true no matter how high up you were, because
2 broken legs is much better than, being
dead. Despite all this, somehow, I still wanted to jump out of the plane. I finished the training, I had my little book stamped, and then, sometime later,
"Devereaux, you're up."
It was my turn. The airfield used hollowed-out Cessnas with one of the doors taken off to ferry people into the sky. They took 4 of us up at a time. One person sat next to the pilot, number 4. Another sat on the floor up against the back of the pilot's chair, which is where I was sitting, number 3. Number 2 backed up between my legs, meaning I got very close very quickly with a 40-year-old accountant called Jonathan.
Hi, I'm Jonathan.
Number 1 sat next to me, with the instructor at the rear of the plane. With everyone huddled into the tiny plane fuselage, parachutes on our back, helmets on our heads, wearing slightly damp-smelling boiler suits, we took off into the cloudy November day. couldn't quite believe the feeling of speed and gravity in that tiny plane. Huddled in the Cessna with Jonathan's parachute digging into my ribs, I couldn't believe that I was here, doing something reckless. I guess this was the first little spark of independence kicking in. I'd had a fairly sheltered childhood of weekend hiking and later jumping around on a stage playing a bass guitar very loudly, but I'd never done anything like this. Was this the person I was now? Was this the person I wanted to be? Either way, I had 3,000 feet of damp November air to mull it over. It was biting cold as we climbed into the clouds and began to level out and slow down. And then it was time.
Number 1!
Number 1 shuffles forward towards the open door of the Cessna, towards the open sky. They sit with their legs dangling out the plane door while the instructor checks their parachute, their backup parachute, and the line attached to the plane that'll open the parachute. This type of jump is known as a static line jump. Essentially, there's a string that opens the parachute for you, so you don't have to worry about, being dead. Number 1 gets a pat on the shoulder, and they fly out into the grey mist. That's the sound of the static line smacking off the bottom of the plane after it pulls the chute out. It's one of the most terrifying sounds I've ever heard.
Number 2!
Number 2 shuffles forward. Good luck, Jonathan!
Thank you.
The instructor checks the chute, the backup chute, the line, taps Jonathan on the shoulder, and I watch Jonathan leap, starfished like we were trained, from the Cessna.
Arch 1000! Number 3!
That's my number. I shuffle forward and hang my legs out the side of the plane. The fear kicks in when the wind hits my legs, forcing them sideways, and I realize that we are still moving very, very fast through the air. I face sideways, a hand on each side of the door, legs out. My left leg keeps catching on the wheel of the plane. I feel a tap on my shoulder. Something the instructors had told us was that they will count down from 3, and then you can take as long as you like to jump.
We are legally not allowed to push you, so do not ask.
I hear the countdown. And I tell myself as soon as I hear
3,
1,
2, 1,
to just jump. A couple of things all happen at once. I put all of my strength into my arms as I push myself out into nothing, into cold, blank air. Because of this, I instantly forget everything the instructors had told us about arching, about counting, about everything. I'm pretty sure I even forgot my own name. While I'm realizing this as I fall out of a plane towards my death, I also forget about my arms, and I smack myself in the face, bursting my lip open, something I will not notice until someone points it out to me after I land. So now I'm falling, spinning wildly out of control, this wind screaming in my ears, 3,000 feet up in the air and rapidly descending. I see the plane fall away from me. I have no thoughts other than panic, and then... floating 3,000 feet up in the air, looking out over the foggy Scottish countryside, it felt like time had stopped. And I got to just look and see how small everything is, even at such a relatively low altitude. I pulled the parachute toggles to test moving around, and I got to fly and play in the sky. I looked down and saw my fellow novice skydivers also playing in the sky. A couple were cheering, their hollers echoing off the clouds and the wind. I wished that I could stay in this feeling for longer, but the final part of the jump was beginning. The landing.
Number 3, pull left.
There was a small radio strapped to our helmets, connected to a slightly bored man on the ground, sitting in a small jeep, guiding us down. The way you land is you wait until you are 10 feet above the ground, and then you pull both toggles to slow you down. You tense your legs, you land, and you take a step forward. Easy, right?
Number 2, pull right.
Here's the thing. 10 feet off the ground after being 3,000 feet up in the air feels very, very, very close to the ground. And death.
Okay, number 1, get ready to land.
I see far below me the first parachute start to reach the green rectangle of the airfield.
Wait. 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 Pull toggles. 10 flags.
From where I am, it looks like the parachute suddenly deflates as number 1 lands safely. Well done, number 1.
Okay, number 2, get ready to land.
Good luck, Jonathan!
Wait. Wait. Wait.
I see.
Wait. Pull toggles. Tension.
I see Jonathan's parachute deflate. And I'm now close enough to the airfield that I see a small figure fall face first into the damp grass.
I forgot to tense my legs.
He didn't tense his legs, he would tell me later.
Okay, number 3, you're up.
I watch as the ground comes to meet me, and I suddenly feel that I am moving very, very fast.
Wait. Wait. Wait.
My hands start twitching on the toggles. I can start to make out individual blades of grass. The ground is coming towards me like a big green frying pan to the face.
Wait. Wait. Wait.
The trees around the airfield disappear, and at the precise moment when my brain tells me, "You're going to die!"
Pull toggle.
Dear listener, when I tell you that I pulled those toggles, I am underselling it. I pulled those toggles so damn hard, but I was worried they were going to rip out of the parachute. However, because I was putting all my strength into my arms and pulling the toggles,
I forgot to tense my legs.
I forgot to tense my legs. I ragdoll as my legs crumple in on themselves as I land, falling face first into wet grass as my parachute floats gracefully down ahead of me, mocking me. I didn't hurt myself, which I count as a successful landing, other than the burst lip from when I fell out of the plane. As I lie there, on the cold November day, I take a second to realize that I had just completed my first ever skydive, and other than, everything that had gone wrong, it had gone quite well. But then the wind picked up, and I was unceremoniously dragged by my face across a wet airfield as a final little joke from the god of wind. I get up, quite damp, bleeding from the mouth, slightly twitchy from all the adrenaline, bundle up my parachute in my arms, and walk unceremoniously back to the hut. I never did another jump. It was an expensive activity at a time when affording things was tricky. I've spent the 13 years since that experience being relentlessly tied to the ground. I'm 31 years old now. I'm an adult with a job, albeit a weird job where I get to make stuff like this for a living. And I worry sometimes that I've reached the stage in my life where I tell stories rather than, live them. There's nothing stopping me from getting back into skydiving. I have the time, I can afford it, and I like to think I'm a little bit less awkward than I was when I was 18, but something feels different somehow. Maybe I've been on the ground too long. My feet have grown roots, and my legs are tensing. When I got back to my halls, I found someone had written RIP on the post-it note I had left on my door. I remember sitting in my tiny shared kitchen, surrounded by other students, completely unaware of what they were saying. My mind was still in the sky, floating above the world. Not quite ready to come down to earth, just yet. There you go. Ollie, hello, welcome. Just throw that around. Oof. Have the whole 3. Oh, thank you. That's very kind. I thought it was an indictment of that performance, but it's good to have you here, Ollie. Yeah. So that's kind of the biggest, most kind of complicated one that I've currently got written. I think it's in terms of an actual story. I think it was mostly made to kind of see what I could do with the thing. Lovely poetic turn at the end. Thank you. I do try to do that. I think that's kind of it's been interesting working on Shortcuts, because I got to work with a couple of producers in radio that I really admire, that I really look up to, and whose work I'm very much like, this is the kind of stuff I want to be making. And I think it's interesting when you hear other people who work in the same industry as you describe your work, and realizing that what you do is slightly different. And it's very affirming. I find it very affirming. But the term poetic was thrown around a lot. So apparently that's just how I write radio, apparently, is slightly more poetic than kind of standard. And it was interesting. So a couple of weekends ago, Ross McFarlane, who's the producer for Camlin and is a poet, is an actual poet, a punk poet. We did this competition where we had to make an audio piece in 48 hours. And it's the first time we've properly written something together, because usually Ross is writing something or writing with a team of people, and then I'm just producing it. I don't really have any impact on the writing process. But this time round, we were collaborating on something, and it was just interesting to compare how we write stuff, because Ross was obviously writing very, very poetically, whereas I was kind of writing with a bit more a bit more, I guess, expositionally. I guess there was more information that I was communicating. I think it's a background thing. A lot of people come up from journalism and radio. Yeah, I think that's absolutely it. I think that's kind of where it's come from. Is that I come from a slightly more, I guess, in terms of where I come from, I do come from spoken word and I do come from poetry, because that's kind of where my partner and I started experimenting with poetry around about the same time. And Sarah, my partner, is much better at it. Like she's got books and pamphlets and plays and stuff out with her poetry. Whereas I think for me it was more a case of okay, I'm learning from this as a medium, and I'm going to incorporate it into my own writing. And so like you can kind of hear that with The Tower, right? You can sort of you can hear that influence coming in with The Tower. I think there is a jump in quality in writing between, I think, Middle Below and The Tower, and I think that's because I was this is your brain on poetry, exactly that. And yeah, so I think that's kind of I think everyone does have their like specific medium that they naturally fit into, right? Like if you say just write something, I think, for me, it's monologue. I will quite naturally write a monologue, no problem. Whereas I think for my partner, it's poetry, and for some other people, it's script writing. And I think if you are, or they'll draw a comic or something along those lines. I think if you make stuff, there is a medium, there's a way of writing or a particular way of telling stories that that naturally fits with you. And I think for me, it's monologues and stuff like this, I guess. Although I am still figuring out how to write stuff like this properly. And there's a lot of really good podcasts. There's a podcast called Sound School Podcasts from PRX. That's really good. I've really been enjoying that. I've been learning a lot from that about how to tell audio stories. And there's Out on the Wire, which is a fantastic graphic novel, as well as a podcast as well. It's a sort of mini podcast course that teaches you how it's more about creativity in general, but uses radio as it's like, this is the example we're going to use to communicate our lessons. And it interviews like Ira Glass, Jab Abumrad, Rob Rosenthal, like all the people in the sort of NPR school of podcasting. Sorry, I'm aware my hand keeps coming under here, and I can imagine that must be quite off-putting. So I'm sorry if I'm sorry. I'll try to stay over here. But yeah, and it's nice to be learning. It's nice to be writing. Like I said, I've got 8 pieces now. I don't know if I'm going to use all of them in the eventual piece. So okay. So what are we doing? We're at 8:45. I think we try making the new piece. So I wrote this piece over the holidays. It's about names. Specifically, it's about my name. All 3 of them at this point. There's lots of them. And yeah, the challenge for this one excuse me, the challenge for this one is to have it make it all on the box as much as possible. So that's the challenge for tonight, because for me to continue communicating with you on stream, I have to have this working. But to record music, I need to unplug this and plug the other thing back in. So we're stuck with this setup tonight, and I think that's an interesting challenge. So do I have any empty? I don't think I do, actually. What's this?
Gee, it sure is boring around
Oh, yes.
here.
My boy, this piece is what all true warriors strive for.
I just wonder what Ganon's up
Okay. Hello, Stream Ready. Thank you for following. I hope you enjoy your time here. So this piece here, I've been trying to pull together a piece about the music of The Legend of Zelda. So you've got lots of different pieces from the Zelda games. That's me playing. What's this? That's me playing Zelda's Lullaby on piano. Basically, it's a piece about how the Zelda games, in particular Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, taught me how to be a composer before I realized I wanted to be a composer. It feels a bit essay-y right now, and it feels more like a didactic thing rather than a story. So I'm still figuring that out. But I spent a day playing around with the sounds. I will say that so just a brief digression. I'm going to talk about. So this is my favorite piece of music in all of video game music, right? It's not that. It's the fairy fountain theme, right? Which is just a perfect piece of music to me. If I can ever write anything half as good as this, I'll be incredibly happy. But I've recently been playing a lot of the DS Zelda games, right? And there's one called Spirit Tracks, which is a Zelda game where you drive around on a train. I think it was specifically designed for me but my particular kind of nerddom. But it has the best version of this theme. Oh, beautiful. It's just good. It's like got rhythm, but it's like a subtle rhythm. It's nice. Oh, I love it. I could listen to this forever. But I'm at any minute now, the Nintendo are going to kick down my door and arrest me. I think I've actually filled all these up then, if that's the case. Spicy fairies. Actually, where's that? No, that's the tower. I'm trying to find the joke one that I made.
The world's richest man is now.
Not that one. No. Where did it go? I'm trying to remember where I put it. Was it this one? We hope to see you there. Ugh. Okay, I'm going to need to pick a new project. That's fine. Excuse me. Okay, shift project. Let's go over here. 13. Okay, so the way this piece is going to work is that I'm going to be using this microphone rather than this one, because this one's currently plugged into my box. Also, I forgot to say, yes, this is a custom Zelda faceplate for the SP404. I saw it online, and I decided I wanted it. I fell down a Zelda hole towards the end of the year. I got a Zelda tattoo. I started playing a load of the games and really got into the lore of the series. So it was a particular sort of fixation over the winter. I think it was more just realizing that it's like I love these games and I need to accept that. So anyway, so I have some things I need to record into the. I have two things I need to record into the box that I'm going to do here, and then I'm going to do the whole piece to kind of show you how it works, and then record some more stuff, and then I'll show you how the sampling works and resampling on this works, because it is really cool. It is a really, really good bit of kit for making stuff. If you look up videos of this online, it's people making lots of lo-fi music, lots of beats and things, which is really impressive, and I wish I could do that, but I'm using it for this instead. Okay, so let's do some recordings. David. Another one. Amber. Dev. Okay, so we have these three pieces. So when I started putting together stories, actually, let's see if we can get some effects on these while we're here. Turn this microphone back on so I don't have to hold it up to my face. David. 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 Let's just edit these down. Amber. Let's truncate that down. Truncate. Amber. 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 Dev. Dave. Dev. Okay. Let's see what we can do with these. Let's. David. Reverb. Let's throw some reverb on there. David. Maybe a bit less reverb than that. David. 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 All right. David. David. Dave. David. 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 Amber. Amber. Dev. Dev. I will probably re-record these at some point, but this is just to make sure the piece works. When I started putting together story ideas for this series, one of the things I told myself I would try not to talk about is specifically my gender identity, as every time I think I have it all figured out, something changes. This is a story about that feeling. David. I'm halfway through my first year at university and home for Christmas. I have a new phone. Ooh, I have a new phone and a new number. I spend an afternoon texting all my university friends that this is David, this is my new number. The girl I have a crush on replies asking which David this is. I text back that it's David from Halls. My phone buzzes not long after. Ah, yes. My David. When I see her again, she's thinking about switching courses. She drops out of university not long after. I didn't go to her wedding. I don't remember if I was invited. Amber. It's winter, and my first Christmas with my new name. I realise I've donated all my warm boy clothes other than one big coat and haven't replaced them. I learned to really love that big coat. All the cards from my friends are addressed to
Amber.
All the cards from my family are addressed to
David.
My sister addresses her card to both. I'm not sure which one of us reads them.
David.
It's our wedding day. It's our actual wedding day. A year after we signed the papers with socially distanced witnesses. Our best friend officiates. She quietly tells me she's tried to make the ceremony as gender neutral as possible. I have not told my parents yet. My wife's dad tells me after the ceremony he was confused about who this
David
person was. Her parents have always known me as
Dev.
The nickname my wife calls me.
Amber.
It's the first audio drama industry event with my new name. It's the middle of a heatwave in London. Everybody calls me
Amber
as if it's the easiest thing in the world. I wonder why it feels like everyone else seems to believe me more than I do.
David.
It's my first proper solo gig that isn't an open mic night. I meet another musician who tells me that bizarrely they already know someone called David Devereaux. They say it sounds like the name of a famous person. I say that maybe one day it will be. It was the first time I'd seen my name on a poster. And I still went on the way out.
Amber.
I messaged my oldest friend, the best man at my wedding and the only person that still calls me
David
that isn't in my family, to tell her that I'm thinking of changing my name. She asks what I'm thinking of changing it to, and I tell her
Amber.
And she sends a list of reasons why it's a perfect fit.
David.
When I went to university, everyone... fuck off. When I went to university, everyone I became close friends with eventually all started calling me
Dev.
And after I graduated, I just started introducing myself as
Dev.
Even before I realized I was non-binary.
David.
Felt like a formality. A name for official documents, bank cards, and council tax bills. Not a name that felt integral to who I really was. It wasn't until I was sent a contract for a Devereaux that I realized that there was an incongruence between me on paper and me in real life.
Amber.
I'm still working to right that incongruence, to bring the worlds of
David
and
Amber
together. To a certain extent, I'm still
Dev.
I still get called that, and it's still correct, whatever correct means in this context. I still keep
David.
I keep it as something of a middle name, for now, at least. We leave many things behind when we transition, but we are allowed some mementos of our past selves for the journey, like a big coat, or an old gig poster, or wedding photos. For now, I exist in between
David
and
Amber.
Somewhere in the middle of the loading bar is how I've described it. It is disorienting at times, and there is a lot of paperwork and admin-based whack-a-mole. But I'm also in the place between worlds where I get to experience the euphoria of old friends calling me
Amber
like they've never called me anything else. Of my friends sending me a screenshot of an amber weather warning and say, they've seen you coming this time. Of my producer at the big podcast I work at, recording 2 different versions of the credits so I get to pick which one feels right. Of seeing my new name written down, smiling, and thinking, that's me. That's my name. Okay, so it needs a bit of work, but that's fine. That's what we're here for. If I stick the isolator on.
David.
Actually, I quite like that.
David.
I need to kind of do... Thank you, Ollie. I need to just have a bit of a play with...
David. David. David.
See if there's a...
Amber.
There's a lo-fi effect on here, I think. Where's it gone? This one's called lo-fi.
Amber. 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 Amber.
Oh, there we go.
Amber. 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 Amber.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Like, it feels... It's one of those pieces that I think... I worry that it's maybe a little bit too personal, you know? Peak trans moment, old name. Yeah, I forgot it was on loop. I should have turned that off.
David.
Also, I'm going to see if I can get rid of that little click at the beginning there. For while I am professional, I am...
David.
Yeah, there we go. I'm not immune to the odd bit of mouth noises. Lavaita, good to see you as always. I'm adding Dead Name Bitcrush to my list of potential band names.
Amber, Dev.
I quite like that.
Amber, David.
That's nice.
David.
That's a nice effect. Can I do anything more with that?
Amber. I'm
gonna turn this all the way up.
Amber.
That piece was lovely, by the way. It's a brave thing to talk about. Thank you. This is the thing. I was very much like, I'm not sure if it's too personal. You know, like I know it's something that I guess it's a thing that a lot of people don't want to talk about. But you know, like I think I'm very aware that at some point I'm probably going to be like, I don't want to do this piece anymore. You know, that it's not going to be something I want to talk about or even mention or bring up or anything like that. But yeah, I kind of wanted to play around with it and see if there was something in there and see if there was something worth writing about, something worth talking about. I bet you could get Susie Azad to say David Amber Dev in a voice note to edit. I don't know. She seems pretty aloof. I feel like I spent most of the last couple of months trying to sort credits on various websites that merely dead name me to all and sundry. Yeah, I'm at that stage. Like, this month's really busy for me, but at some point I need to go through my website and change all the credits and things. Like the trailer for this channel has me introducing myself as David when that's not really a name I go by anymore. Like the thing is, my email signature is David Amber Devereaux, and I'm kind of keeping that as my full name for now, because it's because it's like yeah, it's not necessarily that like I'm not this person. I think it's just that like I think I am between the two right now, so I don't mind kind of having everything together. Please tell the BBC in case there's more of that thing I emailed you about. Yes, and thank you for emailing me about that. I did chase it up with them. I mean, like I was saying earlier, I've got a piece on Radio 4 for Shortcuts next month, and I'm being credited as, you know, the right name. Because it turns out a lot of the people who work on Shortcuts are trans. So I love how anywhere where there is nerdery, like a specific kind of like techie nerdery, you're gonna find a lot of trans people. I can believe it. Yeah, like it's amazing to me. Like it's great. Let's see if we can do more there.
David.
Current affairs can get in the sea, but elsewhere. Yeah, basically.
Amber. Dev. David.
Okay, I quite.
David. Amber. Dev.
I quite like that effect. I think I'm gonna resample it and then I'm gonna add more effects to it. So the way this works is you hit the wonderful resample button, hit the record, then you press the pad.
David.
And then you hit record. That should do it. So now the effects are turned off. So we have
David.
Clean version, resampled version.
David.
So it's been resampled with the effect on it, which means we can now add more effects.
David.
It's a nice case. I quite like that actually.
David.
So there's
David.
So there's an age meter here, and I don't know if you can see on Cinder it says
David.
years, which is quite fun.
David. Amber.
Ooh.
Amber.
Okay, hello.
Amber.
Okay, I need to
David. Amber.
Okay, let's resample all these before I add more effects to it.
Amber.
Okay, and then resample.
Dev.
Oh no, I forgot to turn the effects off. No, never mind. Cancel that one. Set the pad for recording that one.
Dev.
Nice. And then it means we have so we've got our clean versions.
David. Amber. Dev.
And then we've got our wonderful affected versions.
David. Amber. Dev.
And we're going to add some more effects to it, I think.
David. Amber. Dev.
See, I'm trying not to...
David. Amber. Dev.
I know the really tempting thing right now is to just lo-fi, just like bit crush it and lo-fi it and stuff, but I'm not sure if that's what we're going for.
David. Amber. Dev.
I do want to make it sound slightly crappier, though. Well, while we're here, let's delete these originals.
David, Amber, Dev.
Let's see. What happens if we add some reverb to it?
David.
Ooh, okay. Ooh. Sorry, that's fun with the headphones.
David.
I can't see. I think I'm probably looking for an echo, right?
David.
Because I think a reverb.
David.
Ooh.
David.
Don't mind the chorus.
David.
There is a flanger.
David. Amber. Dev. David. Amber. Dev.
See, I've never been a fan of a flange effect. It's not been.
David. Amber. Dev.
It's a wah-wah effect.
David.
Where's it gone? It's got hyper resonance.
David. Amber. Dev.
We turn it into a Dalek, I suppose.
David. Amber. Dev.
Oh yeah, that's a fun thing. So, if I just come back over onto the stage mic over here, so one of the fun things about this router, this box, is that you do have some input effects, and some of them are quite interesting. So, for instance, there's an auto pitch, ooh, which is good fun.
There's also a vocoder. Sorry, that was a lot louder.
I'm gonna put this microphone on as well. So just because otherwise,
I don't know how much you can hear of me, or if you're just hearing the vocoder. I can't tell. You can it does cool things, right? You can change the foment so it sounds slightly deeper. Just hearing you just now, but the clarity is okay. It's like a Scottish Daft Punk. Goes down very deep, very, very deep. Vocoder and not, as long as it's legible, that's fine. Oh, hi, Lou. It's a terrible time to join the stream. We can also change the kind of chord that we get. We can do octave. So if you want to sound like Automnicon, this is the setting to go to. You can change the scale of the chord that you're playing with, and then you can add extra notes and things. A third, a fifth down, seventh. So it's just really funny to listen to. Seventh down. Right. Okay.
Yeah, so there's the point is that there are input effects, which is quite fun. The problem that I am having with the vocal, so I'll give you a bit of a spoiler for I am having a lot of fun. The thing I'm kind of finding with the vocoder, so I have been experimenting with the vocoder for some of these pieces. Still trying to figure out how to work. Unfortunately, you can't control the note that the vocoder is playing manually, but you can plug in a keyboard and use, because this thing accepts MIDI as well. So I've been figuring that out as well. But that's not the point. The point that we're here to talk about is I need to add more effects to
David, Amber, Dev.
To these three.
Dev, Amber, David.
Because these need to be legible as well as the other problem.
David, Amber, Dev.
So what was that? That was the
David, Amber.
Right, yeah, we don't want a rig mod because that's too much. Cloud delay. What's this?
David, Amber, Dev.
No, I don't think so. I think backspin.
David.
Nah.
David.
That's too loud. I quite like the chorus, to be honest.
David.
What have we got? Overdrive, distortion, equalizer, compressor.
David, Amber, Dev.
I thought that
Dev.
I don't know, because the thing is,
Dev. Amber.
Ooh.
Dev. Dev. Amber.
I think we're getting closer. Hang on.
Amber. Amber. Dev. 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 Dev.
Sort of like a kind of...
Dev. 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 Amber. Amber.
Kind of like a gated reverb kind of sound, right?
Amber. Dev.
Oh, I don't know. It was a...
Amber. Dev. Amber. Dev.
So that just sounds like it's been badly recorded, you know?
Dev. Dev. Amber. 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 Dev. Amber. Dev. Amber. David. Amber. Dev.
Okay, I'm going to try something. We're going to try resampling.
Amber.
So I'll try that again, but actually hit the thing properly this time.
Amber.
So let's try that.
Amber.
Let's see what that sounds like with the reverb on it.
Amber. Amber.
I think we got it.
David. Amber. Dev.
I realize there's a reason for it, but like it feels like the machine is dead naming you. I'll perform the piece again once I've got the effects, but it's for a piece about names, so you're not far off.
Amber. Amber. Amber.
So what was that? That was the isolator, right?
David.
No, it was the filter.
David.
Yeah, that's what we're wanting.
David. David.
Right, and then we're gonna do the same again. Resample.
Dev. David. Amber. Dev.
That's good. I like that.
David. Dev.
Right, and then if we add the reverb to it.
David. Amber. Dev.
That's good. I like that. That's got a nice sound to it, right?
David. Amber. Dev.
So another potential thing we can do, if we want to add a bit of extra sound design. So there's a, where's it gone? So there's a vinyl sim. So if I want to add like a little vinyl noise over the top of it.
Dev. Dev. Amber. David.
The thing is, I don't know if I want that underneath the piece, because I'm going to put music underneath as well. But
David. David.
I don't hate that, is the thing. Okay, here's an idea. Turn the effects off.
David.
Let's delete these.
David.
So we've got our
Amber. Dev.
still got these three. These are sounding really nice.
Amber. David. Dev.
So like it's got a nice sound to it. It's got a nice ring to it, which I really like. If we add the vinyl to it.
David. Amber. Dev. David. Amber. Dev. David.
No, I've already done the cassette.
David. Amber. Dev.
Do we want the vinyl sim and then the reverb? What do we think? Should we add it? Tell you what, we'll add it for now, and then we can test if we like it or not. So let's resample.
David.
And then we'll do that again.
Amber.
And then one more time.
Dev. Dev. David. Amber. Dev.
Why is that one louder?
David.
Why is that louder?
Amber. Dev. David.
It's so loud. Okay, I'm going to turn that down.
David. Amber. Dev.
Okay. It's funny how the recording thing that has an unwanted effect when we record becomes something we simulate when we get a better way to record. Well, there's a whole school of thought about this, right? Like, I was talking to Kai Gwilym Pritchard, who makes Chain of Being and Ethics Town, like fantastic, and also is also like a noise musician. They sent me an essay, and it's about how a lot of queer people specifically are drawn towards glitch music in particular, or glitch aesthetics. And the theory is that, you know, if you're listening to like an old recording, say on a cassette player, or you're listening to an MP3 that has that particular kind of noisy aliased compression on it, or you're listening to a vinyl which has that kind of, you know, that sort of, you know, this kind of sound here. The reason why queer people are drawn to that is that it's an imperfect, it's an imperfect capturing of a sound. It's, you know, it has failed to perfectly capture the thing that it's trying to record, but there's something beautiful in that all the same. That's the kind of theory that this essay has. There's also a Brian Eno quote that talks about how, like, anything that is wrong with a particular medium is the thing that it's going to become celebrated for, you know. Like my kind of view is that, you know, first of all, it's texture, and we like texture in this house, but also in particular stuff like this, right? Like,
David, Amber, Dev.
Like it's there's a nostalgia in it, right? And it's consciously listening to something, right? I'm probably not phrasing that correctly or putting that particularly well.
Dev.
But the sort of thing about it is that it's making you think a bit harder about what you're listening to. There's an extra step there, right? And it kind of makes you think. It's more immersive, I guess, to a certain extent. But then again, I don't know. I just make things. I spend too much time thinking about them, but I don't really properly try and theorize about stuff. But there is a wonderful essay. I can't. Hang on. Do I still have it? Hang on. It's called. It's called Glitch / Failure: Constructing a Queer Politics of Listening, by Andrew Brooks. So there's the glitch is both an error and an intrusion of noise into a system. Foregrounding failure, such practices highlight the limits of media technology and the productivity of aberration, malfunction, and error. Queer theory glitches the understanding of identity as a stable and fixed category by introducing noisy concepts into normative systems. So it's a really good essay. I highly recommend it. Queer theories focus on failure and negativity as forms of resistance against political marginalization. Failure, uncertainty, pessimism, and unhappiness become spaces to invert the authority of normative politics. The noisy canon of experimental music is an ideal space for thinking through the queer possibilities of failure and negativity by other means. It's a really good essay. It's a lot to think about. Good. I'm glad you found it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get something out of it. I found it really fascinating. I've been reading a lot about the ideas of queerness and the idea of failure. Is this mic still on? Oh yeah, it is. Sorry. Right, there we go. About queerness and failure, but then also about how failure can be used as a positive thing, which is in particular in creativity, but also in politics as well. It's good. It's fascinating. Like I've been spoiled for very interesting reading recently. Right, so we have
David, Amber, Dev.
And we also have
David, Amber,
and
Dev.
So let's
David, Amber, Dev. David, Amber, Dev.
Does one of these have the vinyl on it?
David, Amber, Dev. David, Amber, Dev.
No, they don't. That's what I did. Oh, God damn it.
David, Amber, Dev.
I hope I deleted the right one. Okay, so vinyl sim.
David.
Oh no, God damn it.
David.
Right, that's what we did. I only did it on the one. That's the problem.
Amber. David. Amber.
And ooh, that's giving me kind of ooh vibes. Ooh. Resample.
Dev. Dev.
Okay, right. So now we have
David, Amber, Dev.
And then we have the vinyl sim, which is
David, Amber, Dev. Amber, Dev.
Did it record?
Dev.
I think it recorded through the microphone as well. Damn it! Okay, so let's see what that sounds like if we run it through the reverb. I slept in massively, but I'm here. Hello, Mysterious. Good to have you here. We're just I'm trying to make a piece entirely on this at the moment, so we're throwing lots of effects onto the onto some honestly, I love the Roland skin. Thank you! Oh, I love it so much. I'm so proud of it. I'm so pleased. It's so lovely. It's so cute. It's so colourful. I was saying I fell down a Zelda hole over the holidays. And come out the other side, and you know, there's I've got loads of Sonic stuff on the wall. Apparently now I need to put lots of Zelda stuff on the wall as well. So, it's a coming. I do actually have some Zelda stuff on my desk. I'm just seeing that now. Yeah, I've got quite a lot of Zelda stuff now you mention it. Yeah, I've got the Ocarina of Time, and I have Skull Kid as well from Majora's Mask. So, yep. I don't know why I thought this would be any different. Right, let's run this through the reverb and see what sounds better. So let's.
David.
So right, let's.
David.
I'm going to turn these down.
David. Amber.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Dev.
That needs to be down.
Dev.
Okay, so these are our options. So we're going to run these through a reverb, and we're going to figure out which one's better. So this is without the vinyl sim.
David.
Helps if you turn the reverb on.
David. Amber. Dev.
Okay, so and this is with the vinyl.
David. Amber. Dev.
I think I prefer the...
David. Amber. Dev. David.
I don't know why there's like a click there.
David.
Can I get rid of that?
David.
Yeah, I think I might be able to.
David.
Yes, good. Right, I can get rid of it. That's good.
David. Amber.
Is the click from the vinyl? No, I think what's happened is this has been on, and it's captured the thump as I've hit it.
David. Amber. Dev.
I think. Hang on.
Dev.
Because like looking at it on the wave, I don't know if you can see that there, but it looks like a plosive, which makes it feel like a recording thing rather than an effect.
Dev.
That's fine.
Dev.
Get rid of that easy.
Amber.
I don't mind the kick there actually.
Amber.
I'm gonna take it off, but like.
Amber.
There we go. Okay.
David. Amber. Dev.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna get rid of those.
David. Amber. Dev.
I am also gonna do something. Actually, I'll resample it and then I'll do that.
David.
Good. And then effect on, resample.
Amber.
Good. And then we're going to turn the effect on, resample again.
Dev.
And then hit record.
David. Amber. Dev.
There we go. So that's our three.
David. Amber. Dev.
Nice little reverb on them, so we can delete these clean ones. And then what do I want to do? I want to... How do I do panning again? Shift? Yes. Okay, good. Right, I'm going to pan them. So... Actually, no, let's be funny about this. So
David.
It's going to be on the right.
Amber.
It's going to be on the left.
Amber.
And then Dev's going to be in the middle. Okay, so I don't know if it's worth having, like, just recording some ambient recording just like some ambient vinyl noise to have underneath, but that's probably too much, right? Because what I'm going to do with, I am going to put some music underneath. It's probably going to be very minimal because I like the idea of having like two pieces of music for the David sections and the Amber sections, and then gradually sort of blend them together. But I suspect that's probably a different. That's another stream, because right now I can't transfer stuff from the computer onto here without unplugging this, and I need this so I can speak to you and you can hear things, and we need that on the stream. Turns out. Okay, let's go through the piece again now that we've got these. David, Amber, Dev. These things. Also, I'm going to try something with some of the effects that you get on the board. Some of the effects you get on the mixer as well for this, because this has an effect, but like it's based on a Boss multi-effect pedal, which is amazing. Like that's just really cool. So there's lots of stuff lots of other effects in here I can use. They're mostly geared towards guitars, but you know we can maybe use them for something fun for here. So let's give it a go. When I started putting together story ideas for this series, one of the things I told myself I would try not to talk about was my gender identity, as every time I think I have it all figured out, something changes. This is a story about that feeling. David. I am halfway through my first year at university and home for Christmas. I have a new phone and a new number. I spend an afternoon texting all my new university friends that this is David, this is my new number. The girl I have a crush on replies asking which David this is, and I text back that it's David from Halls. My phone buzzes not long after. Ah yes, my David. When I see her again, she's thinking about switching courses. She drops out of university not long after that. I didn't go to her wedding. I don't even remember if I was invited. Amber. It's winter, and my first Christmas with my new name. I realise I've donated all my warm boy clothes other than one big coat and haven't replaced them. I learned to really love that big coat. All the cards from my friends are addressed to Amber. All the cards from my family are addressed to David. My sister addresses her card to both. I'm not sure which one of us reads them, though. David. It's our wedding day, our actual wedding day, a year after we signed the papers with socially distanced witnesses. Our best friend officiates. She quietly tells me she's tried to make the ceremony as gender neutral as possible. I have not told my parents yet. My wife's dad tells me after the ceremony that he was confused about who this David person was. Her parents have always known me as Dev, which is the nickname my wife calls me. Amber. It's the first audio drama industry event with my new name. It's the middle of a heatwave in London. Everyone calls me Amber as if it's the easiest thing in the world. I wonder why it feels like everyone else seems to believe me more than I do. David. It's my first proper solo gig that isn't an open mic night. I meet another musician who tells me that, bizarrely, they already know someone called David Devereaux. They say it sounds like the name of a famous person. I say that maybe one day it will be. It was the first time I'd seen my name on a poster, so I steal one on the way out. It's still on my wall. Amber. I message my oldest friend, my best man at my wedding, and the only person that calls me David that isn't in my family, to tell her that I'm thinking of changing my name. She asks what I'm thinking of changing it to. I tell her, Amber, and she sends a list of reasons about why it's a perfect fit. David. When I went to university, everyone I became close friends with eventually all started calling me Dev. And after I graduated, I just sort of started introducing myself to everyone as Dev. Even before I realised I was non-binary. David. Felt like a formality, a name for official documents, bank cards and council tax bills. Not a name that felt integral to who I really was. It wasn't until I was sent a contract for a Devereaux that I realised that there was an incongruence between me on paper and me in real life. Amber. I'm still working to right that incongruence, to bring the worlds of David and Amber together. To a certain extent, I'm still Dev, and I still get called that, and it's still correct, whatever correct means in this context. I still keep
David.
I keep it as something of a middle name, for now, at least. We leave many things behind when we transition, but we are allowed some mementos of our past selves for the journey, like a big coat, or an old gig poster, or wedding photos. For now, I exist in between
David.
and
Amber.
somewhere in the middle of the loading bar is how I'm talking about it. It is disorientating at times, and there is a lot of paperwork and admin-based whack-a-mole. But I'm also in the place between worlds where I get to experience the euphoria of old friends calling me
Amber.
like they've never called me anything else. Of my friend sending me a screenshot of an amber weather warning and say, they've seen you coming this time. Of my producer at the big podcast I work at recording 2 different versions of the credits, so I get to pick which one feels right. Of seeing my new name written down, smiling, and thinking, that's me. That's my name. So there we go. That feels really good. It feels really good to perform, and it's nice to have something that, like, with all the other episodes, you've got like sheets upon sheets of sounds upon banks of sounds. So it's nice to have something that's just the 3 buttons, right? This is such a lovely production technique, like listening to theatre. Thank you. Like, I'm going to be putting music and stuff on it as well. And like, I don't know whether to like keep the bits where I'm putting an effect on my voice, whether to record them and then have them plugged into the sampler, or doing it this way, performing that live. I quite like the live aspect of it, but I think my concern about it is that this can be battery powered, but this can't. So there will be. So the first live show I did in August, I had both of these on stage with me. When I did the second time I did the Tower live show, I just had this. I didn't have I didn't have this delightful effects box with me. It's fun live, but it's also another thing to remember to do. Exactly. Like, I think there's maybe. I mean, let's have a. So let's see if we have input settings, input effects. So the input effects are different from the overall effects, right? So there's the auto pitch, which I talked about.
There's also the vocoder, which I talked about. It's still funny.
No, I need to turn it off. There's also the harmony. There's also the harmony effect. That's what the hell is this? Turn the pitch up. So that makes it higher. Front. Oh. So what? Okay, I have to stop this. Okay. There's a guitar. Ooh, hang on. This might actually be there's a chorus. There's a Juno chorus. Ooh, there's a reverb. Time control delay. Chromatic. Ooh. The warm saturate. Ooh, that's actually not too bad. That actually sounds okay. There's probably a better way of. Can I change that a little bit? Because it's vinyl sim. Cassettes. Ooh, no. Lo-fi. Oh, right, okay. That might work. I'm going to need to change the... Ooh, can I bit crush myself live? Ooh, hello. Hi there. Pre-filter. Lo-fi type. Ooh. Again, I don't know how this is sounding for you guys, but I'm just getting the sort of noise effect. I can't wait to... That could be feedback city. That's my concern as well, I think. Tone. Turn the tone up a little bit. Want to turn the tone all the way down? Right, okay. Some of them adjust your output levels by a couple of dB. Yeah. I tried bit crushing a single... so I found... I should tell you what. I did find a guitar pedal for bit crushing a while ago. I was very, very, very... I was very tempted to get it, because the idea of being able to do bit crushing effects live is very tempting. Okay, so that's the lo-fi effect. I might go back to the cassettes. Yeah, that does actually. I think I prefer the... There's a better way.
There's a... Ooh, hello. You're listening to the... Welcome to the Smokin' Sugar Lounge. Tonight on the bill at the Smokin' Sugar Lounge. I'm such a child. Okay.
Where's the... Where'd it go? Warm saturator. Okay. I think we can maybe use this, right? It boosts the volume, but I can change that, right? I can bring that down. Ooh, no. Bring that down a little bit so it's not quite as... Yeah, okay, I quite like that. I think we can make that work. Because then also I can turn the drive of it down so it's less of a boost, of a volume boost. And then I can cut out the lows. Actually, no, let's bring the lows back a little bit because I quite like that. Add the drive. EQ the high notes a bit more. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay. Right, so if I... Problem is, how do I turn that on? And the thing is, I think the problem is that I need to scroll through everything to get there. There's probably a way of using a shortcut that I just don't know how to do. Like I've not properly dived into how the vocal effects work on the sampler yet. I've not really spent a lot of time with that. But thank you for coming with me on that little odyssey there. Yeah, because there's loads of effects on here that I can use, which is rather marvelous. I wonder if there's a way of... I'm trying to think, because... So Reaper is currently running into here, right? So if I open up a project file, you will be able to hear it. So I wonder if there's a way to... Yeah, okay, let's give that a go. Let's be spontaneous. Why not? Let me just get Reaper open. And we can play around with some music ideas. Well, just while we're here. I need to turn my keyboard on. Preferences, GCS5, media devices. Yep. Okay, so give me just a moment. But yeah, because I quite like the idea of this being quite minimal. So if I now turn this off, should be this one. Yeah, there we go. So you should be able to... There we go. Okay. We have music. Let's maybe use an older piano sound. Because we can maybe run this through like a vinyl sim as well, right? So, what I was wanting to do, right? So you've got these three. You've got
David, Amber, Dev.
So you've got these three, right? So David begins with a D. So do something with like a start with And then there's an A in there as well. So. Just something simple like that, I guess. I don't know if that's maybe too leading. Because then when we do, also if that's not loud enough, please do let me know and I can turn it up. Because then also it means then when we do the sections, we can do the same, but we start it on an A instead. And then that goes up to an E. Kind of a nice little simple music pattern. Because there isn't a specific like section, so I don't really think we need to do anything for that. But then the thing is we can start bringing these together by doing. Yeah. Something along those lines, right? Maybe something. Let's 67. What a good vintage. So one of the this is a really small thing to be really happy about, but it makes me really happy that now I'm running stuff specifically through this. Through the mixing desk, and not having to do all of it with software. You can hear the click track. It's been so many times where I've been just listening to a click track in my headphones, and it's taken me a while to realize that, oh yeah, people on stream can't hear the click track. But now you can. You can also experience this particular hell I go through every time I record. Okay, let's get this piano part recorded. Helps if you play the right bloody chord, Amber. Jesus. Okay. First of all, I quite like that as is. Let's add our beautiful friend, the bisexual reverb. Oh man, have I told you how much I love you, bisexual reverb? Oh, listen to that. Ooh. Oh, it does absolutely make everything better, doesn't it? Ooh, it's beautiful. Yeah, okay. Can I... if I add the granulizer, is that going to give me anything? Exponential space. maybe just turn it down a little bit. That's a bit too much. I quite like just with just the reverb. You know, we're going for minimalism here. So, by the way, if you just read what that file was, the podcast that I'm working on, we're doing an episode on 50 Shades of Grey, which is why I've got a folder that's called 50 Shades. just before the rumors start up on. Just want to get ahead of the story, you know. Okay, let's. I'm gonna give that a go with the narration. I'm gonna give it a go with the narration and the sounds, just for the first section. But I'm just gonna play this on here and see if it works. So let me put the camera back on. Yeah. Okay. So. Cool. I'm also gonna stick this on a loop, I think. Yep. Yeah, I'll stick that on a loop, so it means that we've got a bit more wiggle room. Okay. When I started putting together story ideas for this series, one of the things I told myself I would try not to talk about is my gender identity, as every time I think I have it all figured out, something changes. This is a story about that feeling. Okay, that's the first thing we need to figure out. Does the music come first, or does the clip come first? Or alternate, because I don't want to start the music before this section. Like, I kind of want that intro to be quite clean, is the thing. Because if let's just turn the radio off. Yeah, okay, hang on. Let's try something. David. I'm halfway through my first year at university and home for Christmas. I have a new phone and a new number. I spend an afternoon texting all my university friends that this is David, this is my new number. The girl I have... Oh, crap. The girl I have a crush on replies, asking which David this is. I text back that it's David from Halls. My phone buzzes not long after. Ah, yes. My David. When I see her again, she's thinking about switching courses. She drops out of university not long after that. I didn't go to her wedding. I don't even remember if I was invited. Okay. Okay. Right, so that doesn't need to loop, which I quite like. I think it is changing the pacing, but in like a really nice way, if that makes sense. Like I feel like it's sort of hitting differently, but in a really good way. Excuse me. It might be worth let's see what happens if we take out the last chord there. David. I'm halfway through my first year at university and home for Christmas. I have a new phone and a new number. I spend an afternoon texting all my new university friends that this is David, this is my new number. The girl I have a crush on replies, asking which David this is. I need to turn the gate off on that. Sorry. So there's a setting on here. It's called gate. So basically means if you take your finger off the button, it stops playing. Which if you turn that off, it plays to the end of the sample. So I also need to check that these aren't. Fix velocity on. There we go. So we'll actually play at the correct volume.
David, Amber, Dev.
Consistent volumes, because one of the cool things this does is that it has you can make it so it's velocity sensitive. So the harder you hit a sample, the louder it plays, which I think is a really cool thing. But it is useless to me. Okay, let's go again.
David.
I'm halfway through my first year at university and home for Christmas. I have a new phone and a new number. I spend an afternoon texting all my university friends that this is David, this is my new number. The girl I have a crush on replies asking which
David.
This is. I text back that it's David from Halls. My phone buzzes not long afterwards. Ah, yes. My David. When I see her again, she's thinking about switching courses. She drops out of university not long after. I didn't go to her wedding. I don't even remember if I was invited. Okay, something messed up there. But okay. Like if I could time it, if I could get the timing right, so that it for the yes, my David line, I can just let the note ring out. Another potential way of doing it is to just have it as a 2-bar loop. Sorry, a 4-bar loop, I guess, right? So, and then I can just have it looping, and then I can get it to stop looping when I need it to. Right? Theoretically, that works. Hang on. Let's.
David.
I'm halfway through my first year at university and home for Christmas. I have a new phone and a new number. I spend an afternoon texting all my new university friends that this is David, this is my new number. The girl I have a crush on replies asking which
David.
This is. I text back that it's David from Halls. My phone buzzes not long after. Ah, yes. My David. When I see her again, she's thinking about switching courses. She drops out of university not long after. I didn't go to her wedding. I don't even remember if I was invited. Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. It's I have for each, so, I'll have this bit of music under the
David.
button, so I have it there, so I can hit them, but I can have it so that they trigger at the same time, and then have another piece of music underneath,
Amber.
right? And then when I bring them together, I can put another button in. Yeah! Oh, it's exciting! Yeah! It's good. I like this. It feels kinetic, right? I feel like the other pieces, I feel a lot more. With a lot of the pieces I've written so far, I feel quite hemmed in a lot of the time by timings. Whereas this feels a bit more fluid and a bit more loose, which is nice. Genius. I wouldn't call it that. But yeah, that's doing it for me. But okay, so we'll label that as we'll call that region. Sorry, let me put that back on. So we'll call that region 1. So that's yep. And then I think if we're very clever, we can. Nope, not that button. Transpose up by 7. So that should be. Yeah. But then we're going to take these notes and then, excuse me, selected notes down by an octave. So then we get that nice little variation there. don't know. Is the reverb too much? What do we think? Because I think we also have another. So there is another piano sound that's slightly cleaner, slightly more cinematic, slightly more like a sort of felt piano, right? Down a scoosh. Yeah, I've sort of brought it down a scoosh. See, I think that's a nicer sound, but I quite like this sort of older. It's slightly less bassy, but I kind of prefer it. Yeah, I kind of like that. Needs OTT? I'm not sure what that means. Hi, Stream Ratty. Good to have you here. And you followed an hour ago. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and thank you for sticking around. Talking about the reverb being a bit OTT, a little bit OTT. EDM compressor. Sticker really. I tell you what, I'll humor you. We'll call it hard basic. It will actually kind of. It's an upwards compressor rather than a downwards one. Okay. I tell you what, I don't hate it. I don't hate that. That's not a bad idea, actually. That's just a basic, like hard basic preset. I like that. That's nice. Okay. Yeah, you won me over with that. I'm just joking. Hey, you joke, but it works. This happens to me all the time. I'm like, what would be the funniest thing to do here? And it turns out to be the best thing for it. I need to stop hitting the save button. I just habitually hitting the save button, but all the save button is doing is showing the screen that says I'm working on a podcast episode about 50 Shades of Grey. Okay, let's we play with live ammo around here. Right, I'm going to save this as a project properly. So put it in the right folder. Give me just a second. Just talk amongst yourselves for a minute. Right, new folder. Also, this piece is currently called David Amber Dev, which I don't think is a particularly good name, so I don't know if there's a better name for it. Music. Dad. Daddy Dev. No, don't do this to me. Daddy Amber. No. See, this is why I don't ask you for things. That one's on me. I shouldn't have given you. I shouldn't have given you that level of responsibility. By Daddy by any other name. I feel like I dropped back in during a sensitive moment and ruined it. Not at all. No, not at all. No, you haven't ruined anything. You've actively made this better. So you have nothing to apologize for. Right. Right. So it's just after 10 o'clock. I'm happy to keep going. If you guys are, I'm happy to keep working a little bit longer. Yeah, I'm going to try something. What happens if we play these clips together as one chord sequence? Ooh. There's a better way of doing this, actually. Hold on. I think this might be it. And then oh, whoops. Turn that off. So, and then now we add, so I'm not going to use Portal, but I'm going to add a granulizer. This is from the same creator who made the piano plugin that we're using, Imagiro. Makes really interesting, weird plugins. Like, absolutely check them out. They're fantastic. Let's see what this sounds like. You can kind of see in real time what the granulizer is doing, which I really appreciate. Helps me understand it a bit better. Ooh. Ooh, chords. Okay, what chord am I using? I think I'm using major seventh. Ah, it's playing a major seventh off every note. Okay, that's less good. Ooh, okay. So we're going to mute it for this bit specifically, but then we're going to have it turned down. Just going to add some ping pong delay to it as well. Oh, where's it gone? Let's fix this. Just realized I put it in the names in the wrong order. Should be David, really, it should be David, Dev, Amber. That's the order it should go in. Because I think also maybe for this last section. Ooh, no, there is a better way of doing this. Let's bring this up. Sneak in a cheeky sound font. Can I just get a sine wave from you guys? No, do we have that? No, we don't. Okay. Ultimate Sega Mega Drive sound font. Do we have anything that might work? E-Piano 1. That might be what we're looking for. Let's have a look. Just add a little bit of low end in there. See what I mean? Just because you're going to get that. You're going to get like some aliasing sounds out the back of it. Which I really like, just sort of humming. Just from like the fact that it's a kind of slightly janky sound font as well. Yeah, okay. Right. This is probably going to be a really janky performance of it because I'm having to on this and also on the computer. But let's give it a go. Let's see roughly what it would sound like, right? Okay. So I just saw Daddy Amber in the chat again and started laughing. Okay. When I started putting story ideas together for this series, one of the things I told myself I would try not to talk about often was my gender identity, as every time I think I have it all figured out, something changes. This is a story about that feeling.
David.
I'm halfway through my first year at university and home for Christmas. I have a new phone and a new number. I spend an afternoon texting all my new university friends that this is David, this is my new number. The girl I have a crush on replies asking which
David.
This is. I text back that it's David from Halls. My phone... forgot to put it on a loop. God damn. Try that again.
David.
I'm halfway through my first year at university and home for Christmas. I have a new phone and a new number. I spend an afternoon texting all my new university friends that it's David, this is my new number. The girl I have a crush on replies, asking which
David.
This is. I text back that it's David from Halls. My phone buzzes not long after. Ah, yes. My David. When I see her again, she's thinking about switching courses. She drops out of university not long after. I didn't go to her wedding. I don't even remember if I was invited.
Amber.
It's winter, and my first Christmas with my new name. I realise I've donated all my warm boy clothes other than one big coat and haven't replaced them. I learned to really love that big coat. All the cards from my friends are addressed to
Amber.
All the cards from my family are addressed to
David.
My sister addresses her card to both. I'm not sure which person reads them. I'm not sure which one of us reads them. That's what I was meant to say there.
David.
It's our wedding day, our actual wedding day, a year after we signed the papers with socially distanced witnesses. Our best friend officiates. She quietly tells me she's tried to make the ceremony as gender neutral as possible. I have not told my parents yet. My wife's dad tells me after the ceremony he was confused about who this
David.
person was. Her parents have always known me as
Dev.
the nickname my wife gives me. The nickname my wife calls me. Sorry, the computer messed me up there.
Amber.
It's the first audio drama industry event with my new name. It's the middle of a heat wave in London. Everybody calls me as if it's the easiest thing in the world. I wonder why it feels like everyone else seems to believe me more than I do.
David.
It's the first proper solo gig for me that isn't an open mic night. I meet another musician who tells me that, bizarrely, they already know someone called David Devereaux. They say it sounds like the name of a famous person. I say that maybe, one day, it will be. It was the first time I'd seen my name on a poster, so I stole one on the way out. There's a better way of phrasing that. I messaged my oldest friend, the best man at my wedding, and the only person that still calls me
David.
That isn't in my immediate family, to tell her that I'm thinking of changing my name. She asks me what I'm thinking of changing it to. I tell her,
Amber.
And she sends a list of reasons why. It's a perfect fit. She takes me to get my ears pierced.
David.
When I went to university, everyone I became close friends with eventually all started calling me
Dev.
And after I graduated, I just sort of started introducing myself as
Dev.
Even before I realized I was non-binary.
David.
Felt like a formality, a name for official documents, bank cards, and council tax bills. Not a name that felt integral to who I really was. It wasn't until I was sent a contract for a Devereaux that I realized that there was an incongruence between me on paper and me in real life.
Amber.
I'm still working to right that incongruence, to bring the worlds of
David
and
Amber
together. To a certain extent, I'm still
Dev.
And I still get called that. And it's still correct, whatever correct means in this context. I still keep
David.
I keep it as something of a middle name, for now at least. Not a dead name, but more of an obsolete name. We leave many things behind when we transition, but we are allowed some mementos of our past selves for the journey, like a big coat, or an old gig poster, or wedding photos. For now, I exist in between
David
and
Amber.
somewhere in the middle of the loading bar is what I'm telling people. It is disorientating at times, and there is a lot of paperwork and admin-based whack-a-mole. But I'm also in the place between worlds where I get to experience the euphoria of old friends calling me
Amber.
like they've never called me anything else. Of my friend sending me a screenshot of an amber weather warning and saying, they've seen you coming this time. Of my producer at the big podcast I work at, recording 2 different versions of the credits so I get to pick which one feels right. Of seeing my new name written down, smiling, and thinking, that's me. That's my name. Okay, I think the music works. I think the music works really well. I think it needs some finessing. I need to kind of get like timings down and things properly done. But for the most part, I'm very happy with that. I think the music's not detracting from it, right? Like it's not interrupting or getting in the way or anything. Also, it's not too like sad radio. I think that's my big concern with these is that they become sad radio, which I don't want. I don't want sad radio. We don't want sad radio in this house, for the most part. Anyway, okay. I still think By Any Other Name is a good title. It's a really good piece. Thank you, Ollie. I always say that my gender and my heritage are inextricably connected with each other. I also have a strange relationship with my name where, yeah, it's my name, but I feel more connected to my Chinese name. That's really interesting. Yeah, like it's a weird one. Like it's something I think maudlin / hopeful vibes. Yeah, we'll go with hopeful. That's kind of what we want. like, yeah, I don't know. I'm still figuring out. Like, there was a whole thing when we were getting ready to do the Camlin release and the press stuff and things, and there's a big discussion about, well, what am I going to be? How am I going to be credited? What am I going to put my name down as? And I think it's interesting because there is going to be we do in Camlin, we do have a Chinese character later on, and they have two names, and they're credited as both, right? So they're sort of, you know, their English name, Western name, and their Chinese name, and yeah, I think that's interesting, having kind of going by two. I think at one point I did say to someone, it's just like, well, either or works, which I think is kind of interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting kind of thing to try and weather, I think, and it's fun. That's the thing, right? It's fun. It's an interesting problem to have, and I'm enjoying it, and seeing how it works and exploring how it works, and there's a little bit of that in the piece I'm doing for Radio 4, that I think I sent it off a couple of days ago, and hopefully that's it sorted out. But it's of a similar thing. I've just realized the microphone's on. But yeah, so the hope is that, you know, when the piece comes out on Radio 4, we'll have another discussion like this because of the things in the piece. But I am going to be taking apart the piece that's going to be broadcast and talking about it and where it comes from and things, because I'm really proud of it. I think it's one of the best things I've ever made. But yeah, okay, I'm going to call it there for tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for coming along. I kind of came into today expecting like maybe 3 people, so it's been lovely to have quite a few people in the chat, and to have people watching. That's always really, really nice and lovely, and it makes me want to it makes me want to keep streaming, which is always a good thing, I think. Monday, it's going to be Camlin release day. Episode 2 of Camlin is releasing on Monday, so we'll be having another listen along stream with some of the cast, and with myself and Ella, and yeah, we're going to be talking about episode 2 and listening to episode 2 of Camlin before your very eyes, and then talking about it. And then after that, I'll be going behind the scenes of the music. And then the week after that, I'll be going behind the scenes of the sound design. And then it'll be another Wednesday, and then we'll be back here doing this again. And hopefully things will be a bit more put together. I don't necessarily know if I have any other new pieces to do, but I have a lot of pieces to practice. To practice and tweak and finesse and things. So that's all stuff we can do. But yeah, so I hope you enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, whether it's the evening or the morning or the afternoon. I hope it is not too cold where you are. I hope it is not stormy, because it's stormy here in the UK right now and it sucks. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and I will hopefully see you all soon. So take care. Good night.